feels so good to be here. Just an incredible feeling. Let's take a moment. Just let yourself relax where you are. Let go of any thought or any problem or whatever you might be facing. Just let go of it. Thank you, Father, for this moment. And help us to truly see who we really are. We get so tied up with this body and all of the things of the world, which that's part of living, we know and understand. But the reality is, we are expressions of you. We're here to express all that you've taught us. But most of all, our purpose in life is to express your life, your love. We feel it right now in this place. Take a deep breath. And maybe another deep breath. And feel that part of you that's really not of this world. That part of you that is all spirit, is all soul. And let's begin to see ourselves in the physical part of life as just a scattering of things that cover a deeper reality. And help us in this deeper reality discover how wonderful your love is and how the feel good that you create if we just give you permission. Thank you. Thank you. Bless us now as we listen to this message and discover all of the aspects of the purpose we have right here, right now. And so it is. Amen.
It's so good to see you all. I just love all of you, appreciate you so much, and the army that it takes to put this together. So what I'm going to talk about today is about knowing your life purpose. I know we've all asked that at some point or another. You know, what is my life purpose? If I only knew that, then I could go on and be of use. Well, you know what? You're already doing your life purpose. You just may not recognize it. In some way, you are a unique expression in the mind of God, and you, in some subtle way that you can't even recognize, you are fulfilling your purpose. Sometimes we just need to be hit upside the head with a 2x4 when we can't go within and recognize it. You remember in the Bible the story of Gideon? Well, it tells about after he saved the nation, but also tells about back in the day when he was wandering and just hiding out, being a guy. So just think about him for a while. The angel of the Lord appeared to Gideon. Now I have to tell you, When I think of an angel, I think of Della Reese. So get this picture of Della Reese. Okay, she appeared to him when he was down inside the wine vat where he'd sowed some wheat and he was threshing wheat because he was hiding from the marauding tribes of the Midianites that would sweep across the land and take everything. And he was living in fear in the pit. So the angel, Della, she's sitting up in an oak tree. I'm sorry, that does not register. I do not believe they have an oak tree in the middle of the desert. So I'm envisioning the oak tree as a palm tree. So there she is, propped up on the stems of the palm tree, and she says to Gideon, "Mighty man of valor." And Gideon says, "What? Say what?" So he starts to straighten out that angel, and this is what he said. No. Listen. I am of the smallest tribe in Israel. And in that tribe, my family is the weakest family in the whole tribe. And in my family, I'm the one least thought of. So no, you've got it wrong. And the angel says, "Shut up. Just get up and go with what you have." So she's in effect saying, just start where you are with what you have now. This is fine. Just go with what you got. God saw him as a warrior. He didn't see himself as a warrior. But ultimately, he lived his fulfillment and he saved the nation. Well, not all of us have that kind of a destiny where we're going to go around and save our nation. I think we're more like the little Dutch kid that saved his nation by just putting his finger in the dike. I think that's more of the common man kind of approach. But we all have an effect of saving a nation, whether it's a nation, or maybe it's the nation of our family, or the nation of me and you. We don't know. But we have the power to do something. You know, we don't have to be a Gideon. We can just be ourselves. So I want you to close your eyes for a minute and just think of a winter postcard or a Christmas card, and it's just a beautiful scene with the snow and the peace and the lights in the sky, the stars, and it's so quiet and so peaceful. We may have even lived in that experience ourselves of a beautiful snow, and there's nothing more quiet and peaceful than a snowy night. Well, this is what we do. We're like those snowflakes that we may be one insignificant snowflake, but together we can cover the landscape with peace and with quiet. So think of that. If your purpose is praying for peace, and there are 20 million others for praying for peace, you cover the landscape. Yeah, I don't know if any of you know that song from J.D. Garrett that I see the rain and the rain fell and peace was all over the land. It's like what we are. We're part of a whole. So if you see a need to pray for peace and you recognize that you're doing that, you're recognizing your purpose. So every opportunity that you have to pray for peace, just do it again and again and again and again and then again. And there's your counterparts all over the planet doing the same thing. And it matters. You're a little snowflake. So I was reading something and it talked about 7 categories of your life purpose. And so that inspired me to do this. I think about people fulfilling their life purpose. I think about Matthew with his new job, and he's fulfilling a purpose. He's in a medical center as an administrator of billing. Now, he may not be doing hands-on healing, but he is participating in healing because he's removing stress from people that wouldn't know what they were doing if he were not there to intercede. So you see, whatever your job is, and you have that role, think about that. Is your role in that job or in your home a life purpose? You'd be surprised. There are 7 categories of life purpose, under which are many subcategories. Teacher. Number 1 is a teacher. That means you're responsible for taking in information and disseminating it to others. Now, this is how I see myself. I don't see myself as a person with his title, Reverend Pat Moore. You know me, there's nobody more irreverent. I can't cope with that. But I can cope with being inspired by these things and bringing what I've read to you. So I see myself as a teacher. If you've been a housewife in your early years, you're teaching your family. Many times you're doing this role of teaching and you don't realize that that's a life purpose. The second one is healer. We just talked about Matthew working in the medical center. Everybody in the medical center is doing some kind of healing. I remember I used to do what Matthew did for a living, and there was a girl that kept, when she'd answer the phone, and she'd say, "What's your problem?" And so I had to speak with her and say, healing begins with you. You don't want to approach someone like that. I know that your intent is good, but maybe we could just twist it a little bit and say, what kind of problem are you having? Is that, what's your problem? You might be a healer in some other way. I think about the story about Mr. Rogers. This is my very favorite thing. When he was a young boy, I don't know if he saw it in the newspaper or heard it on the radio or however, but there was a disaster. And he asked his mother, where is God in this? You know, this terrible thing has happened. Where is God? And his mother said, look for the helpers, and there you will find God. So if you're a helper, you're serving as a healer. Even entertainers, Jeff, are healers. You know, when I heard this, I had this vision of Robin Williams after he passed, arriving in heaven, and the angels were weeping with joy because he uplifted so many people as an entertainer. So there may be something that you're doing and you don't recognize that you are being a healer. So the purpose of this is for you to begin to recognize your role in whatever it is. Because once you do it, that's when you make the quantum leap into being of service. Okay, the third life purpose is inventor. That means you're channeling, you're reaching into the creative source, channeling the creative or the scientific elements and making them be manifest. How powerful is that? You know, maybe you've just invented a recipe but you're being an inventor. So recognize, is that what you're doing? Okay, the fourth one is an innovator. That means you're able to look at a situation and know how to make it better. I think of Richard Branson and Virgin Enterprises. You know, he made a trip into space. He's going to the moon. You're not all going to be doing that. I think about my teenage daughter. At the age of 15, I opened a restaurant. She walked in the place and she said, "Mom, you need to move this over here and this over here and make the flow better so that the service people won't have to make so many steps." Maybe that's what you do in your home. Maybe you're a feng shui person, I don't know. But are you doing that? Are you being an innovator? The next one, the fifth one, is a leader. That means people pay attention to what you say and you do. Too bad some of our leaders haven't put that holiness to their task, but they'll come around. So what in this role of leadership, you are channeling some kind of a charisma that's a gift. It's also a gift you can acquire. I've read a book about becoming charismatic, and it has to do with breathing. The same techniques that singers do when they take voice lessons. Just breathe it up, breathe it up. You can create that. But you use this gift of leadership to guide people to make better choices. They pay attention to what you say, but you have to be totally present and recognize that that's your role. You know, you just may be the leader of kindergarten, I don't know. But once you recognize it, like I said, you make that quantum leap into recognizing that you're part of God's plan. You have to be totally present and aware of your opportunity to raise the vibration around you. The sixth one is an explorer. I mean, even Dora is an explorer. You have to have a very inquisitive thirst for knowledge relative to all things, large or small. You're just so curious and want to know everything about whatever. You're looking out at things that exist and want to understand them better, whether it's an atom or a territory. You're still being an explorer. If that's what you're doing, does that strike a bell with you? Then recognize that and apply it consciously. The seventh one is a Pathfinder. There are many elements associated with being a Pathfinder. You're helping people with their path along their journey, Nicole, right? This is associated with social workers or counselors or life coaches, or even if your friends have come to rely on you as someone to guide them rightly, to give them just plain old talk and common sense. You're a Pathfinder. A Pathfinder frequently will couple up with one of the other purposes. Actually, we all do that. We have more than one. It's a category, subcategories. Especially for those of us who have been chosen, or who have chosen, as a life contract to be alive right now, when the world is in chaos. From the time we were born, this is our destiny. We consciously chose this to uplift and heal the planet. Even if you're a snowflake, you have an effect. Now, it's interesting to note that because of us choosing to be here at this time, whether you're in a New Thought religion, or ordinary religion, just whatever, or no religion at all. You've chosen this. You've chosen to be here to make a difference, to be part of the net of safety for our planet. So when you complete one life cycle that we talked about earlier, there's generally a 7-year life cycle or a 10-year life cycle. And if you examine your own life, you can look back on major events, whether it was childbirth, getting married, getting divorced, changing jobs. There is frequently that pattern of 7 years, 10 years, where you've made a major life change. And those are the times that whether the change was your idea or not, you're going through some kind of change, and you think, oh God, what am I doing here? How did I get here? You know, what is this? What is my life purpose? How am I going to live the rest of my life? That's a major event and a shift in your consciousness where you choose going from one life purpose to expanding into another life purpose. So you can look back and make a map of your own life. Gail's, even though it's a psychological book, Gail Sheehy wrote a book called Passages. And she describes this as the brilliant roadmap of adult life shows the inevitable changes we go through in our 20s or 30s and beyond. I remember the trying 20s, where you leave the safety of home and you venture out into the world. That's when we begin trying on the uniforms that each change brings us. This is what we do when we're making a contract to be here on this planet. We choose a school uniform. It may be one gender or another, or somewhere along the spectrum. It may be a color of this color or another, or some color along the spectrum. It serves our purpose as a school uniform to learn what we have to learn. And there shouldn't be drama and arguments about how you're expressing in your school uniform. It's like the consciousness that I had in high school when Birdville played Irving, and each school thought that they were the better one. That's what we're doing when it's just as simple as we've chosen a school uniform. You know, often at the beginning of a life cycle, it's when we say, what is my purpose? Okay, so now we've just learned about the 7 categories of your life purpose. The thing to realize about the common thread is that you're channeling information from Spirit and expressing it. So whether the task is dramatically great or just vitally small, the foremost soul purpose is really none of these. Every person on the planet, when we choose to come here, we forget what we've learned from Spirit at another level. We have to come in here and we have to start all over. And the ultimate soul purpose that all of us have, whether you know it or not, is to know God, to remember with God, to understand and have that intimate relationship. And when you begin to know God and you recognize that, oh gee, this is my soul purpose, I've been doing it, then, as I said, you make that quantum leap in your being effective. And you do it every day. When you come across the opportunity to express your soul purpose, You've changed it from the mundane into the divine, your divine purpose. And you know God. You have this intimate relationship, and it's show me the way. You talk to God, and you have this intimacy with the divine. The other one is to know your own godliness. This means to recognize that you're not nothing. Honey, you're a player. You are a player in the divine purpose of this planet. That means something. It means to recognize that you are indeed a unique expression in the mind of God. And it gives you a little strut there because you know you're doing something. You are the instrument through which God expresses in your world. The third is to express your godliness. It doesn't matter if you know that you're a unique expression. It doesn't matter that you have an intimate relationship to God until you put feet to your actions. You got to do something. And then begin to heal the world in however it is that you do it. After all, that is why, as light workers, that's what they call us, those that spread the light, that's why we chose to be here now and know your importance in changing the world. Namaste.
Was meant to be with God as our Father, family all are we. Let me walk with my family in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. Every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. And as we go into our week, let us remember our prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. All right, we'll see you next week.